There are some counter arguments against privacy, and some of them are quite popular. Let's take a look at and evaluate all of them, analyze all of them. The first one is, if you're not doing anything wrong, you should have no need to worry about being watched. I mean, if you're acting normally, why do you worry about being watched? And the second one is, privacy is overrated, in fact. So opting to live in an IT society means that you are already ready to give up your privacy because it is neither valued or nor valuable. You enjoy your devices, what you have. So if you don't like it, don't use it. So that's the basic another approach or another argument against privacy. And the last one is, data has enormous benefits to the organizations as well as to the individuals as well. Why should we take advantage of such a possibility? That's it. So let's start with no need to worry argument. So it tells that privacy only protects people who have something to hide. I mean, indirectly you reach to this conclusion because the original one is, if you're not doing anything wrong, you should have no need to worry about being watched. So if you worry, it means that you're doing something wrong. This is the argument here. So it looks benign, but it is not benign at all. Benign means, good or naive. It's okay. There's erroneous info problem. So these are some cases from the textbook. Suppose that a person travels to another state while with his car, but after a police chase, he got himself into trouble. He tries to understand what happened. In fact, his car was stolen weeks ago in another state that he lives or whatever, but found last week, for example. That's the case. He tries to explain the situation. In fact, it is not stolen anymore, blah blah, but anyway, he spends one night in jail. How this happened? In fact, an alert failed to get deleted in this state. Okay, for example, that car was stolen in state A, for example, but the incident happened in state B. So in this case, it has been deleted here, but not here, so he got himself in trouble. And it was recorded. The problem is, what is recorded here is his, one night in jail has been recorded as well, because it's a public information. And years later, he makes a job application, for example, and the employer or human resources scans the records, and they see that he spent one night in jail for something, whatever, but one night in jail at all. And he gets rejected. Maybe they will call him, okay, we will call you later, or something like this. You may never know why your life is being changed. You may never know why your application is rejected. Who knows? You didn't do anything wrong, but this is resulting from erroneous information problem. And that's why Electronic Privacy Information Center declared that in 2008, ensuring accuracy in police databases because of unreliable government databases. This happens in Turkey as well. It's a very common thing. So they underlined that those information should be very accurate and handled carefully, because people can get in trouble indirectly. There is also another type of problem about no need to worry argument here, which is the irrelevant information problem. Again, this example is taken from the textbook. Suppose that a woman rents a house, and he has some troubles in the with his toilet, for example, and he asks the landlord to fix it because it's, I mean, the landlord's duty by the law. But suppose that the landlord neglects it, and then the woman sues the landlord about not, I mean, accomplishing or not being sensitive to his obligations. Then okay, he wins the issue, whatever, but she lives there. Okay, I mean, she got the case. The case is finished, and then she seeks to rent another house in another place, for example, another state or another district. That's the idea. She asks for some houses, for example, house A, house B, house C. Okay, yes, we can, I mean, there's an available house. She checks with the real estate agency, but when she's about to, I mean, reach a conclusion, they say that, okay, this house is not available anymore. Okay, then she looks to another house. Again, at the last stage, they say that the house is unavailable or hired to another person. And C and D and E, this happens to all of the houses she wants to rent. Why is this happening? Just guess why. Because none of the landlords want to rent their house to a person who sued her landlord before. That's the idea. They have access to that database or the case databases here. Maybe the real estate companies have access to that information, and they're using it here. But the information recorded there is related about domain of law, for example, but this area is about rent. I mean, you're using a particular information in another place for reaching a conclusion here in another domain. So this is also causing problem here. Look, the woman didn't do anything wrong at all. She did what she had to do, and she was right as well. She deemed, I mean, successful in her attempt, but still she got herself in trouble in this case. The second one is people have traded their privacy off for the benefits of information technology. So is that so? Let's check. In fact, people are largely unaware and naive. For example, discount options are limiting their choices. So you give your information for discount or get nothing. This happens to all of us in supermarkets or electronic commerce sites, for example. And people usually make local choices. Okay, I give my information at the airport, I give my information for a lottery, or I give my information at a shop, for example. Here you see in a shop, or we're being recorded by the cameras at work or for airport. Okay, but they're not aware that those local information can be merged and globalized. But when those information are accumulated and gets cumulative, it means that they can result in some people reaching some conclusions about you and categorizing you or profiling you. And the last one is better loan estimates, better risk analysis. You want to catch the terrorists as well, or the bad people. Who doesn't want that? Everyone wants that, okay. So here we need to consider, are they trying to serve us or shape us, in fact? So if you believe that the government or the corporations are thinking the best of us, the best of people, okay. But if they're trying to shape us, this is another case. We should consider this. Now here what you should see is a comic strip here, which is, I think, a bit funny. Like I mean, in fact, what someone, if someone asks you here about this for implanting an RFID tag or chip on you to follow you all the time, okay, you would never accept that. But if they implement it as a side effect, or like it is a phone or camera or with lots of functions, people like this. So that's the idea about, I mean, I mean, how people naively, or how it is make interesting for people accept to trade their privacy by corporations or by several institutions or government. Here, as we look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which has been signed at the 10th of December after the World War in 1948, you see that there are lots of, lots of, as you see, numbers here, like we are all born free and equal, we don't discriminate, so many lines here: right to life, no slavery, no torture. We have lots of rights as human, and the almost all of the countries signed this. They accept these facts, but what is happening here in real is a matter of debate, in fact. And you see, I mean, your rights are protected by law, the right to trial, whatever, you see. And here, the right to privacy as well, right to nationality, freedom to move, freedom to own property, freedom of expression. We will check, you can check them yourself as well. Okay, there are many items here, as you see, that are combined or under the umbrella of human rights here. And we see here that there is a natural right to privacy as well, like right to life, liberty to own property, and also to our privacy. It is stated in the 12th item of the Declaration of Human Rights. What is this? Nobody should try to harm our good name. It's by definition, and nobody has the right to come into our home, open our letters, bother us or our family without a good reason. Okay, internet is not mentioned here, of course, but we have the right to privacy since it has been written in 1948. We should agree that what is meant here is pretty obvious, in fact. No need for discussion on it. So the natural right to privacy is growing out of property rights as well. There is an English common law which is satisfied by the claim, a man's home is his castle. It is based on a European approach, and then it is adopted by the United States as well. Western civilizations usually build on this about the privacy. And here Judith Thompson argues that every privacy right violation is a violation of another right. Suppose that you have a picture that you want no one else to see it. If someone looks at it without your consent, it means that your privacy is violated on behalf of your personal area that you store your pictures or something. So another right is violated here, like maybe security here in this case. In fact, she's still alive, and she's a very famous American philosopher, and you can check her violinist argument about abortion. I want you to search this from Wikipedia or something. It's a very interesting argument where she defends the idea of abortion. For example, it could be interesting for you to see how It's very famous. Okay, and Jeffrey Riemann, again another American philosopher, is defining the privacy as the control of my own self. Otherwise, I will be in control of another being. But we shouldn't forget that privacy is a prudential right, so we need to consider the pros and cons for society as well, in the name of society. So suppose that telemarketing calls in 1994, there were some home calls at dinner time. We get calls as well to our every day I get many calls from different promotions, and 49% of people were disturbed by calls, and by who disturbed by calls, they 49% of people who disturbed by calls listed their names, like signed the agreement or something that they will be removed from call-in, do not call, they would be added to national do not call registry here. By of 2003, like 62% of the telephone users registered their names there. It is causing shielding, or it is resulting in shielding from telephone advertisement. In fact, the people do not want their private areas, private moments to be violated by those promotion or unsolicited calls. When we look at the relationship between privacy and trust, there were less privacy at agrarian, like very old times, agrarian times. There were religious oppression usually around those ages, and society oppression as well, because people lived together. In modern times, it is the time for the rise of the individualism. We live in our separate homes, we ride on our separate automobiles, our personal TVs, personal computers, and even our internet is personal. Okay, it gets tracked, but it is still personal, theoretically. So what we have is, we have more privacy today, but as a consequence, we live among strangers. So here there is less privacy, but everyone knows each other, so you know everyone around you. But here we have privacy, but we live among strangers. We don't know what is evolving around us, in fact. So trust was easier in the past when you to believe in who is who. It is quite harder now. You need ordeal, you need to ask lots of questions, or you need to ask for credentials of those people. And the Stephen Nock defines this issue, or makes the argument like this in 1993. A society of strangers is one of the immense personal privacy. So you see, you're just living in a society of strangers, but surveillance is the cost of that privacy. Yes, you have your privacy, but you need to pay the cost for this. A very good argument here by Stephen Nock. So when we try to underline the importance of privacy here, we need to evaluate this in three different approaches. Privacy, we need to see privacy as an individual good. We need to evaluate or see privacy as a contextual integrity, like as a whole, and privacy as a social good, essential for democracy as well. Let's take a look at all of them one by one.